everyone. It's been a crazy busy couple of weeks here. I've been online for a while, which I regret, but hey, I thought I would check out some questions today on the user community and find out what was good and anything I could answer on there. And yeah, we'll stream it live, make a video. Hopefully you're watching this at some point, whether it's live or after the event. And hopefully this is going to be of use to you. So yeah, so questions of the week. I've got a few picked out. The one I really wanted to look at was this, because I think this one has got a very specific transformer that's going to help here. And the transformer I'm thinking of is the TimeWindower. So the question is, they've got a database of 13,000 points, 6 different vessels, I'm assuming ships or something like that, I'm not sure, some other transportation. They need to create a line for each day for each vessel. So the lines have to be created in chronological order. They're trying to group the dates after sorting, then build the line using the date and vessel name parameters. So the line building should be fairly straightforward, because you just group by or set the vessel name, the date time grouping as being a different value. And then it will change, it'll finish the line every time those values change. But the bigger question here is, how do you create groups based on dates and times? And I mean, I guess you could split the date times up into different components. I mean, if I fire up FME, I'll open it up, I've got it fired up already. If I fire up FME and start looking at date time transformers, there is one here that, well, there you go, straight away, DateTimeExploder. So let me just grab some data and run it in here. I mean, to be clear, this isn't really the way I'd suggest of doing this, but it's just one way, and I thought I'd show it. Now, I think I've got some data in here with date times in there. We'll find out in a second. So what have we got? Yeah, we've got expired date, issued date, and so on there. So that's all good. That's really what I wanted to have, is some data with date times in. I don't have a lot, especially don't have a lot of data about vessels and transportation modes, but that's okay. We can use this. The date time converter is the first thing I'm going to do, because I want to get that in FME time. So let's do an issue date. I'm going to just let it see if it'll auto-detect. I'm not quite sure what the format is on the source. Maybe this won't work, but we'll see what it does. There you go. It rejected the first feature. So obviously I've not quite got the time format correct. Oh no, there is outputting some features. So maybe those just don't have an issue date. Yeah, issue date is null. And here the issue date has been changed to FME format. So yeah, it obviously did recognize it. I'm guessing it is ISO format date time. If we look in here, it should say ISO date, year-month-day, ISO date time, yeah, T:(M:(S), so time, hours, minutes, seconds is the time. So I guess it recognizes that, whatever format that is, and it's worked. Okay, so what I could do there is, in fact, what I'm going to do first of all is put a sampler transformer down, because I really don't want to do this on every record I've got in there. I'm just going to say first 10 features. We'll do it on that just to prove this works. But yeah, one of the way we can do this is explode it using this transformer here, which is a custom transformer on the hub that I generated. And basically it should split that out, and it will give you the, what have we got? the day, the hours in 24-hour format. We get the month is the 12th, the day is the 6th, the hours, blah, blah, blah. So basically it's taken that and split it up into separate bits. And now we could say, let's use the day number as a group by, and that would work, and that would be fine. And I think that would work for the purposes of their problem here. So they want to use the line builder, I think it is. Let me just go back to that. Yeah, they've got points, so I'm assuming they're going to feed that all into here, and then you basically would set group processing. And see, I'm not using points, so this isn't going to work. But what you would do is you would say build it all together, group processing, group by whatever it was they wanted to group, the ship, or we could say do it group by the business type. And the other one here would be group by DateTimeExploder day, I guess. Or maybe even day and month. So we could say, where are we? Day, not day of week. 2-digit hours. 2-digit day. There we go. 2-digit month. We could group by that, and that will give us a separate line for every feature there. So really, it's just a case of making a group for your records. And the DateTimeExploder is one way of doing that. In fact, it works better than I realized. I did not think that would work and work that quick. But the one I really wanted to look at was the TimeWindower. So the TimeWindower is this transformer here. And normally, see, this is much better when you have a time window that's not necessarily a full day. Like if it was a full day or whatever, from 0 hours to 24 hours, then the DateTimeExploder would work quite well because it's a fixed date. But if you've got like time windows that sort of span a few hours during the day, then this would be better. So for example, we could say it's a 4-hour or 4-day duration if I wanted to. I've got to pick when my time window starts, so I could just say do it at the first feature or use a timestamp. So basically I can say start at, I've not tried this before, so let's see, is it looking for an attribute? It's looking for an actual date and date time. So I'm going to flip back through a few years because I don't know when this data started, and we'll say November 2008 and say the first. Now somewhere in here, data as timestamps, yes, and the timestamp attribute is expired date. And so what we're going to do with that, in fact, we're going to set that to 10-day periods. But for this user, they probably set it for 1 day or 8 hours, depending on what they wanted. So what this will do now is it will run through that data, starting, wow, that was quick. Well, only 10 features, I guess. And it will give you a window number. So the window number is that. So basically, there have been 1.5, is that 1.5? No. 151 million 4-day period since 2009. That doesn't seem right. Did I say 10 days? I did. That seems excessive, but like if I set that to 2018, so this is counting the time periods that data falls in. Still, maybe I'm getting that wrong. Maybe I'm misunderstanding how that works. But basically, it will be grouped. Let me do the columns here. This could be a very, I want window ID, and we want, let's just select all and turn them all off. We want window ID and issued date. That was the one. So the 12, yeah, see, they don't seem to me to be in the same group, and yet they're in the same group here. So I think something's not quite right there. 2016. Okay, well that has to start before that. So 14, 12, 30th. So if I say start 2016 in November again, IP by window start time. Window number, that's better. I think that's probably more what it should be. It just should be creating different window numbers. And now I have to go back and turn all those off. I should just get rid of them all, to be honest. It would make more sense, but they're all window 42. That's interesting. What have I done wrong there? There you go. Like I said, it's been a busy couple of weeks. I come here for a bit of relaxation almost in doing this, and the first thing that happens is it doesn't work. So let's just go back to that again. Oh, that might be part of the problem. I was doing that wrong. There we go, that's better. Now we're getting... See, yeah, Friday afternoon, busy week. So that's what we do. Anyway, so what we've done there is we've created 10-day windows starting at the 1st of November 2016. And this one is in Windows 0 because it's actually, that's the 31st of the 10th. So I should... It was 2 days before that, so maybe I should change that to the 10th. And that should now be window 3, and the rest of them should all be bumped up as well. So yeah, so that's in window 3 now, because there's been 3 windows since the 1st of October 2016, and that's in the 3rd window, and then every 10 days it does that. And this user might say, oh, I'd like it every day, and you'll get quite a few different windows there. So yeah, so that's in window number 100, that's in window 96, 72, etc. And we could even go cut it down and say 4 hours. And this is when this transformer becomes more useful, because now we can split it down into smaller chunks than on a daily basis. So now we've got 4-hour chunks starting at that date, and that's in there. And so again, we just put the line builder down. I always forget that transformer because it used to be the line joiner, and so yeah, so we do that. We just say group processing, group by window ID, and it will group that together by window ID. Actually, it would make sense, just for the sake of example, to do a 10-day period, and I can't do lines because I don't think I've got points in there. So I'm just going to throw something in like an aggregator. And I'm going to say aggregate it by window ID. And so this is the same thing the user would do, but with they do it with the line joiner. Not line joiner, line builder. So there we go. We've got 2 features in Windows 6. There's 1, 2, 3 features in Windows 7. 2 more in window 9, so we end up with 6 groups there basically. Windows 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, and so this is exactly what the user would do, apart from obviously their data is different and they'd use the line builder. So that one I'm making my question of the week just because it uses a different transformer. You don't see the TimeWindower transformer come up very often, and usually when it is, I mean, the idea for the TimeWindower generally is for when you're streaming data live. So you're streaming live data, and it comes into here, and basically you give it a time window, like you say 4 minutes or something like that. starting from then, and then you do something that groups by that, like the aggregator, and you say group by window ID, but you then say process when the group changes. And then every time you basically build up like 5 minutes of data, and then it processes it, then the next 5 minutes, and then it gets processed. And so that's how you can process data in a live stream, but still in a group, like the last 5 minutes worth of data gets processed together. So that's really what the time windower was designed for, 5 minutes, 4 minutes, whatever. And usually you would say when the workspace starts or when the first feature comes in, whatever, and the data would come in groups, and you would send it out in groups. In fact, one way I can demonstrate that is with a decelerator and a random number generator. And I can say generate a random number between 1 and 3 to 1 decimal place. Slow it down by that amount. So this is just sort of simulating a live streaming data. So we'll see that here. Yeah, we'll send all of the data in there. It doesn't really matter. We're just saying as soon as the first feature hits there, start counting time windows. Count not 5 minutes, but 5 seconds. Actually, we'll go with 1 second because things are going to be slowed by, let's see, by 3 seconds at a time. No, we need to be a bit more than that. We'll say 10 seconds to give it a chance to get some features through. And now I just run to this. And so we're going to bring all this data in there. Why is it only 10 features? That's interesting. But you can see there's a delay and it's creating these different groups. And so the first group's gone through. The next group it's waiting for. So it kept basically every 10 seconds it says, okay, that's enough data. I'm going to pass the next group through. And that seems to be about an average 10 features, which I guess makes sense. But anyway, so yeah, we've got 4 windows now. 3 of them had data in by the look of it. And so this is sort of like live streaming, but just slowing things down a little bit. So yeah, so that's really what the time windower transformers was designed for, was to handle live streams of data and just sort of make sure you could process it in a group. But for our purposes, it works just absolutely fine for dividing data up into different sections depending on a time attribute, which is what this user wanted. So it's probably time to stop this. I'm not quite sure why I'm sitting here watching this, expecting it to do something exciting. I mean, I guess I could just do that and see what happens. But yeah, see, we're getting smaller time differences now, so the groups will be bigger than 10. So it's created the first window. Now that feature's come out, and that'll have those 10 features or those whatever features processed together. And we get the window coming out of here. And I can't really visualize it because the workspace is still running. And if I hit stop, it'll stop and lose it. So, but you see the point. So, yeah. So that's what that is doing. And this is what the user would need. So that was that question. Thanks for answering that one. Asking that one, sorry. This one, I don't know if we can do anything, but it just seemed so fairly straightforward. I thought, surely we must be able to do something with that. It's just like lines of photo, like obviously the plane's flown over an area taking photos, and then it moves over and it flies another strip of photos. And it looks like they just want to get like the strip of photos. So I figure that shouldn't be too difficult, surely. Where are we? Is it downloading that? Sample. Oh, okay. Sample data footprint.dgn file. Okay. So that's downloaded that. Let me. We'll fire up another workbench just for the heck of it. Because I think this should be fairly straightforward. It really should. We'll just drag that data in there. I don't know if it's V7 or 8, but I guess it doesn't really matter. We'll group by. Group by geometry. No, we'll group by level names, whatever. Okay, there's normally nothing on the default layer, so that's okay, but we'll just run this anyway and see what we get. So the default layer is normally just... Oh, right. Oh, there is things on the default. That's interesting. Let's see what they've got. So are those green lines what they want? Attach the sample file, model 1 and 2 created by manual, for example. Okay, so basically it looks like they want a green line around. Interesting, because I was thinking, what do you call them? You know what I'm thinking of. I'm going to go look it up. Geometries. Isn't it awful when you can't remember the word for something? VoronoiGenerator. Oh, it's not under geometries. It must be spatial analysis. All I needed was letter V in my brain, and then I suddenly remembered. There it is. So are these all point features? I think they probably count. Yeah, they're text, so I'm guessing that counts as points. I mean, this to me seemed to be the easiest way to create shapes around them. Actually, let's get rid of it. I mean, obviously you've got the issue with the outside ones. You need to do something around that. So what we could probably do is put a bounding box accumulator around that. What sort of distance are we looking at here? Is there a... Uh, 289. So about 80 meters. So if we just, I'm just thinking if we put a buffer around it of 100 meters. And send that into there as the minimum extents. That might make a bit more sense. It might just sort of cut those horrible edges off. Or it might not. I thought that would be the... Oh, it says minimum Voronoi extent. Well, I guess what we could do then is instead use it as a clipper. So, I mean, I don't know if this is what the user is looking for. I mean, it looks sort of like that. So basically we can create this, and that's fairly straightforward to do. I mean, it's not guaranteed they're going to be all the same shape, but it's the closest, like the Voronoi is the closest area, or within that area, that center point is the closest point within all of that area. So it's not, again, it's not quite like that. But they don't really explain how they created this. I mean, are we supposed to say these are overlapping? Because obviously if you're flying stereo photos, you can have overlaps. But they don't really say what they're looking for. And it almost looks like like they're sort of halfway across. So like the model goes like that, which seems a very odd way of doing it. How would we do that? Again, I mean, it's difficult because I can't tell where the text offset is on there. Like for us, the text offset is the bottom left, but that doesn't necessarily seem to be the case for them. It looks like it could be in the middle. Let me open this up, see if I can... Yeah, you can't really zoom in on it too much. Yeah, I guess the model is the overlap between the two photos. It sort of makes it awkward to do. I mean, the Voronoi thing doesn't work. I mean, one obvious way would just be to shift everything across by whatever distance that is. Like again, we could just sort of throw an offset in there. But I don't think that's probably what they really want. That's tough. I mean, if you want... So I guess what they want is that area. That's interesting. Well, if anyone can think of a way to do that... I mean, if those features are in order, that might help. Like, are those points... Like, if I zoom out of here and start at the top... Okay, so then I was almost going to point at the screen there, which would have been quite pointless. But they seem to be... Oops. Like that. I don't know if they have a row on there or not. It's Yeah, I don't see any attributes on there that would tell us what row it is or what flight line it is, so that makes it a bit more awkward. Yeah, I'm really struggling to think of what to do with that. I mean, what would happen if we... Let's say we just took a buffer around all of those points. So we do a 100-meter buffer around all of those points. What do we get? What does it look like? Yeah. I might be totally barking up the wrong tree here, as we say. I don't know that... See, I'm wondering if we could create something like this. Could we sort of do an overlap? But no, that's not going to... Like if we had two... Yeah. That is quite complicated to do. I mean, again, all I can think is that, where the photo is the center. And if that helps, well, that's good. I mean, what we really need to do is find a halfway point between those, put the point there, and then do it again. Do the Voronoi part again. And that would sort of move it over to be the right location. that. Okay, well, say we had that. Huh. No, I mean, that's really got me stumped. If anyone can think of a way of doing that if you're watching this, then do suggest it in the comments. But as far as I can see, there doesn't seem to be any simple way of doing that. You'd have to find, like, really we want this position here. Like there. And I don't know how we find that. Like the nearest neighbor isn't necessarily going to work anyway, because like the gap between two of them might be larger. So this one might get paired with that one, and that one gets paired with that one, and we don't have anything in the middle. So that's... Yeah, that's what I've got, and I mean again, the one way to do it would be to throw an offsetter in there and just say, okay, offset it by 80 meters or whatever, and that gives you sort of that. I mean, if you know that is going to be 80 meters exactly, and wow, that does actually look quite close. Then we could do that, I guess. But I can't see any other way, to be honest. So, like, I'm trying to think, well, what happens if we created a buffer? But even then, that's not, because it's longer than it is wide. Oh, man, this is really, really probably going to bug me all over the weekend. But... anyway, that's as much as I've got. So if that helps with that question, well, that's great. If not, well, yeah, hopefully somebody else can have a go at that. It did make me think, like, if you wanted to, I mean, this is going to sound totally bizarre, but if we wanted to find those flight lines and which ones, like assuming they were horizontal, which they may or may not be, I guess, but... So I'm just going to try something really weird with this and see if it works. So to find a flight line, coordinate extractor, we want to find the y value. So... I mean, we just specify coordinate 0. That's the only coordinate on it. I really want the y value. Okay, I mean, this is... So we've got y. Let's find the minimum y value. Find a minimum y value, and I'm going to do a date time stamper. Again, this is probably going to be so bizarre, but date time calculator. I'm going to add the y min. No, sorry, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to use... Actually, I'm just going to set it to... let's see, 20, 22, 03, 25, 00, 00, 0, 0, and I want to add y. So where did y go? I want to keep the y value. What have I done there? Oh, that's the summary. I want the whole thing. Yeah, I mean, so I want to say y minus y min. We're going to add that many seconds on to whatever we are today, 2022 03 25 0000. And then use the TimeWindower and say window duration 50 seconds. See, it just occurred to me that we only got one window. See, what I was hoping, what did we get for the date time there? $10, $18, $20, $40, $45. Yeah, so what I was trying to do was to see if we could create groups based around this. And it looks to me like we should be able to. And if we just convert it into time, because one of the things that I've thought about, I'm going totally off topic here, but one of the things I thought about before was, well, how do you do a group by? And this came up the other day. How do you do a group on time? Because you can't or group on any value really. Like, how do I group things if they've got an X or Y value? Like, how do I create groups? And it just occurred to me, if I turn them into a time and put them through the TimeWindower, timestamp, yes, result daytime. Let's try that again. I'm hoping for 3 groups. We got 8 groups. Let's see what we got. Group by window ID. This is really weird. I don't even know why I'm doing this. This is just sort of a... I've only got 6. Oops, that's what I want there. See, what I'm trying to do is group it by... And we can't really see... Okay, let me open this up in the data inspector. I mean, this is a totally odd ball idea, but if we change the color of these to be, I don't know, green or something. The text to be green. Just want to make it different to the highlight. Okay, so we got those. It almost worked. Oh, I guess maybe the cutoff line goes through that gap there. Oh man, that really almost did work, didn't it? But yeah, I guess I mean, all I did there really, I guess, was swap time for the Y dimension and say, okay, group by time when it wasn't really time. But man, that was close. But it didn't occur to me, yeah, the cutoff might be halfway through a group. Huh. It was a thought. Didn't work, but it was a thought. Hey, that's what it is. Okay, well, that was 2 questions, or 1 question and 1 sort of answer. Whoops. Wrong one. So, yeah, I mean, if any of that helped for that question, that's great. If not, well, I had a try. Polyline to polygon. This was an interesting one. It's just they were trying to build lines out of build polygons out of lines, but they weren't getting half of it. And they've got a snapping tolerance set, but I just wondered if that wasn't enough and how you would know whether it was working or not. So what you could do, and this transformer is not very well known at all, you could use the line closer transformer, and that will basically say take the first point and put it on the end point. So I mean, if that works and that's giving you something, then it's fairly obvious that your tolerance just isn't big enough. If that still doesn't work, well, okay, there's something else going on. But anyway, I just wanted to highlight the line closer because that really is one that you don't see mentioned very often. And it's a way to sort of close a line off to build it into a polygon if it isn't already closed. And so that's what I suspect might be happening there. The tolerance just isn't big enough. So the line closer might make a difference there. It may not, but that was just what I'd look at first. And the user didn't put any data on there, so I've got no idea really what their data looks like and why the problem occurs. But anyway. Yeah, I don't know why this one happens. That shouldn't happen. If FME created a workspace, it should be able to read it back. But what it did remind me was that somebody mentioned earlier this week that we don't really recommend anymore trying out the Windows. There's like a Windows UTF-8 locale that they have in beta version, and we don't necessarily really recommend using that now because it's not. You shouldn't need to use it. FMEs should be working fine on UTF-8, and you shouldn't need to change the locale to anything special just to get that to work. So anyway, I don't think this is related, but it just reminded me of that. So I thought, I should check that out. But it being 2022 and as having done a whole bunch of UTF updates, it did make me wonder. But you never know. So. This one was an interesting one. If you create an attribute name parameter, especially if you want to use lists, how does that work? And it wasn't particularly well documented apparently, but there's a couple of different options: full and none for list support, and exclusive as well. I didn't realize that was there. That must be fairly new. So for none, basically when you pick a list, it'll show you lists, but when you pick them, it will prompt you for a list element. If you say full, then it'll let you pick the list itself, not just one element of it. And exclusive means it should only show lists, but it doesn't seem to work. So that's going to be that's filed. It's going to be fixed, I'm sure. So anyway, I think that's all I wanted to cover today. This was really the one that I wanted to talk about because it's a great way of using date times and splitting up into different groups. And they're doing it for each day, but if they had to do it for a certain number of hours, or if their window sort of overlapped the start and end of the day and it wasn't exactly aligned with the 24-hour period, then that would be a perfect way to do it. So I just wanted to show that. Also mention the favorite transformer contest is now at the semi-final stage. The feature reader just made it through against the feature merger. The HTTP caller went through. Test filter again just beat the spatial filter, and the attribute manager took out the attribute creator. So now we have no spatial transformers here. The feature reader does spatial, but it's not its primary function, I guess, as you could say. Whereas the spatial filter was the last transformer whose primary function really was spatial or geometry. So all of the spatial transformers are knocked out. So what can you do? But it just shows how important these other transformers are to all of our users. And yeah, and it's interesting, the tester and the test filter. Well, the test filter's gone through. The tester went out early, despite being #1 for so long. But it does. I mean, it really shows us which transformers are important to you, I guess. And a lot of people have been vocal about which ones they prefer and why. So yeah, it's this is interesting. I love going to see who's going to win this one. I know who my money's on, but it's an interesting, going to be interesting there. So yeah, so start voting for that on Monday. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday is the semi-finals. Thursday, Friday is the final, and then we'll find out who the champion is next week. So yeah, okay. Well, thanks for tuning in or for watching this video. If you watched this far, thank you. You're fantastic. Hopefully you'll remember the TimeWindower in case you have something that you need it for, and you may even try use it for a crazy idea like grouping spatially by time, by switching the time and the y-axis or something like that, and doing weird stuff. But yeah, so anyway, I just wanted to get online because it's been so long since I've had a chance to chat to anyone, and this week was driving me crazy. So yeah, thanks for tuning in, and I hope to see you another time. Yeah, okay, bye folks.